everybody, it's me, Script. I know you've missed me. It's been 2 weeks, so great on me for trying to start this channel again. I am sorry, but I had theater all last weekend, and so, of course, this is my excuse to make a theater show. Welcome to a new series that I will be exploring random things and how I can turn them into musicals. Today, we're gonna start with Taz, or specifically Taz Balance. For those who don't know, Taz, or The Adventure Zone, is a D&D/role-playing game podcast made by the McElroy brothers and their father. And if you haven't listened to it, watch it, go listen to it, go read it, go watch it. It's a podcast, it's a graphic novel, it's almost a cartoon soon. I know someone also made a live-action movie kind of short clip. It was like 10 minutes. It was really good, though. I'd look it up. Watch any animatic, because I'm about to spoil everything, but it's so good, guys. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, I figured that since it's existed in all forms of media, it should also get a stage adaptation. This was actually inspired by a post I found on Tumblr that was talking about the possibility. If I remember to, I'll link the original post down below in the description. It was basically having the idea that Taz Balance could be made into a very Potter musical-esque style where it just shoves so much plot. It shows 2 years of a story into one musical, and personally, that would be hilarious, but it is not what Taz deserves. It's not what Taz Balance deserves. Maybe you could get the live shows and cram those all into one musical and make it just crazy nonsense. That would probably work, but in order to encapsulate the story, the characters, and the emotions, you're gonna need a 5-part musical series. And that's what we're talking about today. To start off with, the stage design. One of my favorite things about seeing Broadway musicals is the massive and glorious stages that they have. Hamilton with its just basically, the best way I can describe it is rustic from my memory. It's been a while since I've watched. Wicked in particular has a huge dragon, and its curtain is a gigantic map of the land. Dear Evan Hansen was pretty simple, but it still had a great ambiance with all the notifications that you could see at the beginning, middle, and end of the show. It was all just really great. So, for a Taz musical, for the first 4 musicals in particular, I think the best thing to do would make the voidfish be the curtain. Make the top of the little jellyfish be the entire upper part of the stage, and have the tendrils move and sway into the curtain. Just so it creates the idea that it's the voidfish telling the story, as in story and song. I feel like no matter, even if there's a blackout, the voidfish should constantly be glowing, and it can be like the dragon from Wicked, where it sometimes, randomly blows smoke just because it's cool. To the first musical, we're gonna speed through most of these because I haven't listened to the podcast in a while, at least the early episodes, and I'm not that too familiar with them. But here are my ideas for how they could go out. For the first musical, it would be Here There Be Gerblins to Murder on the Rockport Limited, since I feel like both of those would be too short on their own to be standalone musicals, and they could fit pretty well. Act 1 would only be Here There Be Gerblins, and Act 2 would be Murder on the Rockport Limited. So you have the so you have the 3 boys who meet up and then go on a mission, and then they are shoved into the murder episode. The Act 1 closer is when they join the BOB, and there could be like a huge blackout once they finally get inoculated, and it just jumps in to, hey, look, you're on a mission. You gotta go stop this train theft. I feel like this one should be the most comedic of all the musicals, make it feel the most like a Harry Potter musical, because it can ease people into it, and also, you gotta have comedy in this. I feel like Angus, a running joke he should have is that he keeps trying to have a solo, but all the boys just stop him and push him out of the way whenever he starts singing. The second musical will be Pedals to the Metal, because that arc is so long. And this is where where the speed through is going to happen, mostly because, gonna be honest, Pedals to the Metal, my least favorite arc, and I kind of refuse to ever re-listen to it just because it was so long for me. Still, I feel like it could be really well done as its own stage play, and all it needs, though, to be amazing is that Hurley and Sloane have a heartbreaking musical duet. It should be awesome. The opening song to the second musical can also be them going to Garfield, looking around, because like there'd be so much in the first musical that you wouldn't really have time to do anything. Ironically, this is the musical where you could slow down and explore the B.O.B. Now, the third musical will be Crystal Kingdom to 11th Hour, because again, I think they'd be too short if they were on their standalone, or it'd drag on a little bit at least. Crystal Kingdom should be all the same set, it just over time more and more fake crystals are added, and so they have to navigate the same space differently. The whole chorus should be like hidden in the background when singing the Crystal Kingdom song to make it sound all haunted and echoey and cool. There's a whole song about how Boyland sucks. Kravitz's song, by the way, should be as extra as hell as physically possible. And Taco should always butt in and be like, Taco should always butt in and just state something like, man, you're hot. Hey, yo, you want a date? It should be great. It should be extra. It should have Taco being annoying, and that should be how their love starts. Act 2 would be the 11th Hour arc, and I feel like it should jump straight into, after Act 1 ends with them getting the transmutation stone, I feel like there should be a song that just shoves them right into the 11th Hour arc, and it just shows them looping over and over again. It explains who everyone is, what everybody does, and how every sequence of event plays out, so the audience gets it immediately, and they can just do whatever the heck you want. And this is where you can start dropping hints about all the cool things. The cellist has a song, tempting the boys, each getting a verse for their wishes. A single spotlight should shine on the boys whenever they are being addressed, and a tableau should be for the other ones. A projection could be used to show the muffled memories in the background with all the static, kind of like how in Dear Evan Hansen they use mainly projections to create the illusion of like a digital space. And I feel like this musical should end with the warning of the final mission, the Suffering Game. And Magnus should come out on stage alone after everyone stops singing and just stares at the sky, taking Merle's part, kind of, and as he sees the stars go out. And he looks at the picture of him as a red robe and then blackout. Now, the fourth musical will be The Suffering Game, because there's a lot you can do with The Suffering Game. The first song is going to be the intense training montage that they had to go through before this arc. The second song should be Taco going on a date with Kravitz, because you gotta. It can be ironic with him saying, what could go wrong? It's the final mission. We've hit it. We've got most of them, and we've never died once. It's great. Each round and minigame could have a song, and they become more and more sinister. The twins can have, I'm gonna stutter a lot. I don't have a script. The twins can have a song that keeps reprising every other round, and it just keeps getting darker and darker and darker. Act 1 should end with the reveal that there's no healing and wondering, with a massive poppy song that just mocks their torment. Arms outstretched can be done with wires that can be quickly added to the actor. Magnus's body can be burned up. Magnus's body being burned up can be done with a trap door and some pyrotechnics that just drop the body once it's done. The mannequin could either be, it could be a puppet that the actor for Magnus controls, or a separate person entirely and with pre-recorded lines. The ending should be going back to the B.O.B. and the second voidfish being discovered. And the stage voidfish that is hanging over the curtains should be brighter than ever as they get closer and closer to the tiny baby voidfish. Once they get inoculated for good, that's when there's a final blackout, and you just hear a single violinist playing, and that's the end of the fourth musical. And then on to the final musical. One thing to note, the stage changes to look different on this musical, with instead of the voidfish being the curtain, it is now completely black. The walls are painted with eyes staring at everyone to represent the hunger ever looming closer and closer as it's finally revealed that they're there and always watching. We'll get to where the voidfish went in a bit. Anyway, so the final musical would be the final musical should be the Stolen Century to the Day of Story and Song, because those both fit perfectly well with each other, and Story and Song is kind of short. Act 1 would be Stolen Century, and the second arc would be Day of Story and Song. The opening should be a festival of people listening to a traveling bard. There's a single violinist playing from the orchestra during this, telling the stories of the series so far. So it should be like a song that recaps everything. It ends with a kid asking what happens next. And so the bard will say something like, you see, to answer the future, we have to turn to the past. Now here's what happened 100 years before. Ooh, it's gonna be very meta. Now, the second song is of the IPRE back on their home planet. Spoilers if you don't know what Taz is about. Yeah, they're aliens. It's gonna be a song about the IPRE, and it introduces each characters and situations to fit their personalities. Taco and Loop are gambling against a Greg Romaldus who has no lines. Lucretia is following Davenport and writing in a book. Notably, this Lucretia should be played by a different actor than before, so they play a younger one. Magnus is helping Barry by helping him carry a lot of books while refusing to give them back in classic Magnus teasing fashion, and Merle is caring for plants. The third song is each one getting and accepting the task of the IPRE crew, culminating to the press interview, and the music stops while loud crowd sound effects play, letting the audience know that there is a lot of people on this planet for now. The press conference should go out as it does in the podcast, maybe add a few lines, maybe add some comedic sound effects, whatever have you. The fourth song should be chaotic and start really fun, and it should be called Get the Hell Out of Here, where Taco and Loop originally are so jived and excited to get off this planet until it suddenly turns very dark when the hunger arrives, and it turns dark as they say, get the hell out of here, we're about to die. And then when they finally escape, it's a very sad reprise of it, where they just mourn that they had to leave and that they did get out of there, but no one else did. The next cycles should be combined into different songs. Like each cycle could have its own song, or they could be a loop that, like one single song that explains multiple in a path. I feel at least the robot world and the animal world need to have their own scenes to explain what's going on, but all the worlds can be culminated into a song that goes over each one. There should be at least one song where the repetitive nature is at least addressed, maybe by Taco, as he always seemed the most affected by the loops and how it all seemed kind of pointless. And there could be like a ticking noise that always plays, letting them know, hey, they're just on a clock that is going to repeat forever. The cycle where they went to the world that honored the arts and had what they thought was the light of the creation, but was actually the void fish, should be decorated like the festival at the beginning. It should be all bright and happy, and it should be full of noise and beauty and art. I feel like the song that Loop and Barry eventually perform at that event should have no words, or at least no words that they understand. There should be like a Latin chorus in the background that softly sings as they play the piano and violin together, and it should be so beautiful. When Loop and Barry eventually come liches, the same song should play on a reprise, except now the Latin is louder and it has a sinister undertone with some electric guitars added in. Once they get to the final world and they decide to make the relics and split them up, that Lucretia should have the one-act closer, where it's her just looking at this destruction all her friends has caused and feeling so much pity. I feel like you could do something for projections. You can have each of the IPREs standing behind a projection as they mime out things with shadows of their body and their relics, and Lucretia is just watching it all happen. And this is where an older projection of Lucretia can, like the actress really, who is playing older Lucretia, steps out and tempts her as she is being thralled by all their relics, telling her, hey, you can fix this, you can do it, this is what you should do, you can go back in time, or you can have the vision to do it, you have the power to change all this stuff. And they just tempt her, and she slowly comes to the realization to wipe their memories. At the end of the song, Magnus, the actor playing Magnus, should step out from behind his screen and just ask, Lucy? And then black out. Act 2 should start with everyone in the BOB full of memories. All the actors would have time to change clothes from their original costumes with the IPRE to their Taz Balance costumes. I feel like now everyone should at least have a little bit of red added to their costume, so you know that visually they remember everything. I feel like the first song for this arc should be kind of like Good For You from Dear Evan Hansen, but coming from Taco screaming at Lucretia about how he is done with everything and that she never should have done this, and eventually ending, like, everyone has to hold him back as he just gets so angry. Eventually he ends up giving up and just saying, whatever, what's the plan? Let's go. I don't want to argue anymore. When Luke finally appears with when Luke finally appears and the umbrella is broken, I feel like it should be a reprise of the aforementioned Planet of the Artist / The Lich song, but this time it's her and Barry singing the words in English with the chorus in the background, but they finally sing the translated parts, which are about how much they love each other, because gosh darn, let these two be happy. The endgame should be a very long song that can be split up into different parts of prep, inspiration, and the battle itself. Now for Johan. Johan, my boy, deserves his song. The whole stage and audience floor should light up when his song plays, and it should be revealed that the Voidfish, what used to be above the stage, has now been moved to above the tech booth. So like most likely the audience would have to turn around and see above the tech booth there is the Voidfish, to show that it has moved on from telling the story of all of this to conducting it, to like making sure it all happened and showing that this is what is true. Voidfish plural should play with Johan pulling a fiddler on the roof and dancing across the stage as everyone prepares and moves around him for the battle. And there should be a blackout when he says, "You're going to win." And this is where like slow light should be brought up. There should be a song called like Bonds, where it explains like how the Star Blaster runs on bonds, on how everything runs on bonds, and that people have connections that are bright and big. And I feel like all the actors on stage should have like strings tied to their hands, that the young actress for Lucretia ties them all together and creates a little web. And since there's and they get all like 12 people who are part to the story, and that represents the IPRE logo. I have so many like feelings for this. Anyway, after the song ends, John, who is just a dude in a suit this whole time, just walks out and breaks all the threads, and then the final battle begins. John, he should never sing. Whenever he's on stage, there should be no music. Even when him and Merle talk, there's only a sound effect of waves or like a stuffy office room, because he radiates just stuffy office vibes. Even when he dies, there should be no music. It should be completely quiet for him. Now, once everything is done, the end song should be happy and peaceful, ending with wedding music, kind of pulling a Helpless from Hamilton. Magnus should have a whole stanza where he sings to Carrie about his hopes for the future and how getting married will be the best thing that will ever happen to him, and it should like allude to his future death. Something I forgot to mention at the beginning of the before Taco's Good For You Scream song, the Act 2 opener should be Lucretia giving everyone their new lives. It should be called like You'll Be Happy, and she's just dragging Magnus, Merle, and Taco all to their new lives, and you can see, while the song is supposed to be upbeat and light, you can just see terrible things happening to them in the background. Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, after the wedding and Magnus's sweet song, the festival should come back on, and the bard should like say stuff like, "Now remember this, you should remember this, because it's very easy to forget." And then when all they leave, Johan is actually a violinist from the pit. He gets out of the pit and goes to manually close the curtains himself to symbolize that the story is being told through bards throughout time, and that he was the one who orchestrated it all, since he wrote Voidfish plural with the help of the Voidfish. And so he gets to close the story. And before closing the curtain though, he does a little bow, and then the story is done. Now, is that all the information? Is that all the ideas I have? No, that's just the Tumblr post summary that I have of my ideas. I have a whole notepad. I have legit written like 2 of these songs already. Mostly like my ideas, since considering that I spent like so long on Day of Storia's song and The Stolen Century, I have my main ideas are for that musical. I have costume designs. I have a set design. I have like 3 of these songs semi-written. Like the song You'll Be Happy, I have that written. Get the hell out of here, I have that written. Like, I mean, I have the words written and I have the melody. I don't have like the instrumentals written. And also, like I'm just scrolling through my notepad now, because I have a couple of things that weren't even in my notes that I'm just looking at. I have Lucy's song from the end of Act 1 partially written, and I have the song where everyone is introduced partially written, and I forgot it was called Whatever's Out There. I have so many ideas. If anyone wants to ask me, come on, man, I need to talk about this with someone. Here's my Discord tag. Come text me. Go on Tumblr. DM me. Let's go, man. If any of you are playwrights, I'm here. Now, will I ever probably release these songs? I don't know. If any of y'all are good at playing piano and orchestrating things, come on, again, DM me. And that will be the it for this episode. I want to try this again with more stories that I like. I probably won't go into as much detail as with this because I just got really passionate about thinking about ideas for Taz. I really love Taz Balance. I might try to do another episode going over Taz Amnesty and maybe Taz Graduation once it ends. Or maybe do a small episode talking about the live shows, how they could be incorporated into musical. But I'll definitely go into other things. Maybe I'll talk about my Zelda musical that I have ideas for. Anyway, see you next time, and bye!